Greetings and Shadowlight everyone. This is going to be a quickie review on V-MODA SpeakEasy DAC amp lightning headphone cable. That sounds like a mouthful there. What this is simple enough. I will show you the product and explain. That's the box for it. Tells you quite a bit about it on the back. You can run your headphone nowadays. If it's Bluetooth, you can run it Bluetooth with no cable. Just get it paired up to your phone. Or you can run it with a cable and plug it into a phone or something. And some of these things nowadays have don't have a headphone jack, like the iPhone, the newer iPhones. But some of these cables have decided to put lightning connectors on the end of them for Apple users, and so you can avoid that problem. You can plug right into the lightning digital jack on your phone. Now, the lightning connector on your phone does not have any analog signal in it. So in other words, when you plug a headphone or something like that into your lightning port, you have to have a DAC, digital analog converter, inside of your cable or whatever it is to convert that to analog sound. So there's a lot of ways that's being done, but anyway, here's one with the new lightning cable by V-MODA. This cable's about, let's see, seems to be about 5 foot long maybe. And here's a control box, which is very convenient. Volume up and down, and start, stop. And let's see. Oh, this the end with the plug-in, of course, goes into the headphone. You have to have a headphone with detachable cord. If you don't have a detachable cord, you're out of luck. It's an extra microphone box up here, as well as having a microphone on this control box down here. So, and of course, when a headphone is connected in, having that microphone box up close up there is probably gives you a better signal when it comes to speaking into the microphone. So anyway, the whole point of me having this is just to see how good it is, and give you some other examples here. Here is something called a Dragonfly Red. This little guy costs $200. There's the case for it. Here's the Dragonfly, and then when you pull the cap off, you can see that's a USB-A connector right there, and then there's a headphone jack down at the bottom. So the Dragonfly, if you're going into something like an iPhone, you have a what they call a camera adapter or whatever, and you plug this into that, and then it has a lightning plug on it that goes into the phone. So you have that, and then you plug your headphone into the output down at the bottom, and you've got yourself a really good DAC that improves the sound of your iPhone. Another device, I don't seem to have one sitting right here with me, is the Apple dongle. The little white, it's about 2 inches long, the little white plug that will allow you to take an ordinary headphone cable and plug it into it, and then it has the lightning port on it, and it goes into the iPhone there, into the lightning port. FiO is another company that did one of these lightning things, and in this case, like the Apple, it's has the these things are hard to handle. It has the little headphone port where you plug your headphone into down here, and has a box, a control box that I suppose does at least stop start. I don't know if it does anything else. This cable's about 3 feet long, and it has the lightning plug on the end of it. So this does something similar, well, essentially the same thing as the V-MODA cable. The V-MODA cable is $100, and this little gadget here, I believe, was $39. It's either $30 or $40. I think it might have been $40. But this doesn't sound any better than the Apple dongle. In fact, it might not even be quite as good. but that's the FiO. And so what I did with V-MODA cable is my first comparison I decided would be to the Dragonfly Red. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that cable and what I compared it to, because this is the one that I just purchased, this V-MODA cable. And I'll set that up here. And where's my original box? The box is back here. Just leave that just sitting up here as a little prop. All right. So I made some notes, and got quite a few notes here. The comparison to the Dragonfly Red, of course, Dragonfly again is twice the price. And I have a Dragonfly Black that's about the same price as V-MODA, $100, but I had the Dragonfly Black, and it was very loud, much louder than the Red, but it was kind of grainy sounding and everything else, so I got rid of it. I just, it might be arguable that it's an improvement over the phone itself, but I don't know, I just didn't like the grainy sound. The Red is much smoother, like a real high quality DAC. So I'm comparing this V-MODA cable to a very high quality DAC. And I had 2 different iPads setting up, and had everything all set up so I could make direct comparisons. All I had to do was swap the cable in that goes into the headphone. And so compared to that, the bass impact and detail between V-MODA and Dragonfly Red were about the same. They sounded a little different, but neither one stood out as distinctly better than the other. I couldn't really, I mean, one track might sound a little better and the other track might sound not as good, and so on and so forth. But both had good detail and impact. Treble was a little darker on the V-MODA cable. But the interesting thing is, in the extreme treble, and the example that I had was the David Chesky, Wan Jung Kim song "Girl from Guatemala," a very high-res track, and recorded in amazing stereo, maybe even binaural, I don't know. But anyway, they at 3 minutes into the track, they have this huge, massive treble instruments, triangles, gongs, all kind of stuff. And the Dragonfly sounded kind of too bright and too cluttered or something next to the V-MODA cable. The V-MODA cable just resolved it nice and clear. And I don't know, technically the Dragonfly might be better, and maybe on a $1,000 DAC it would do like the Dragonfly, but be crystal clear or better separated or something. I don't really know. But in any case, the V-MODA cable actually beat it. But again, it might not be that that's the best treble. I don't really know. Anyway, the high frequency extension on both of those was quite good. So there's no problem with that. There's no high frequency roll off there. A pretty amazing difference though. So anyway, the other thing on soundstage, the sense of soundstage or just realism or something like that was slightly better on Dragonfly Red. Maybe a non-audiophile wouldn't hear the difference, but anybody with a trained ear, a good audiophile is going to be able to pick up that difference, and it's definitely true. You're going to get the more spacious sound on the Dragonfly. So going backwards to the Apple dongle, which I actually tested, compared to the V-MODA cable. Both of those had pretty good bass reproduction. Again, they sound a little different from each other. I didn't compare the Apple dongle to the Dragonfly Red, just to the V-MODA cable. And again, they were different, but the bass is good on both. Pretty well detailed. And I use different headphones, but I equalize them so that I'm not listening to their defects or aberrations or peaks and dips and all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to get a more accurate reading there, like a guy does in a studio. But anyway, the bass is about the same. The treble sounded more similar between the V-MODA cable and the Apple dongle than it did with the Dragonfly Red. The V-MODA beat it slightly, but at least the Apple dongle seemed to reproduce that part, kind of listenable, and the Dragonfly is just a little too bright. And that brightness is not due to the headphone or other factors. It's just, I don't know, it's an extreme treble track if you check it out. The other thing between the Apple dongle and the V-MODA cable is that the V-MODA cable was better, clearer, a little more spacious. Not as much of a difference between that cable and the Dragonfly Red. The Dragonfly Red was a pretty big step up. For me anyway. Again, it depends on your hearing. If you're really tuned into this stuff and your hearing's very acute, it's going to be the big difference. But there's still a difference between the dongle and the V-MODA cable. So I would say for the $100, and given it doesn't have the graininess of the Dragonfly Black, I think they've done a kind of an ideal design here and got the most that can be gotten out of a cable like this. So all you basically need to do is if you do have a Bluetooth headphone and you're someplace where you have it where it's quiet and you have a chance to just sit down and plug in a cable and enjoy some real high resolution music, you just kind of bundle that up a little bit, put a rubber band around it, and stick it in your pocket or whatever, and you got yourself a nice hi-fi solution to take along with you. So for $100, highly recommended, and it sounds really, really, really good. And that difference between Dragonfly Red, most people won't miss, unless, of course, they sit down and do a direct comparison like I did. So there it is. Thank you very much.